Peace. Good morning. When I say everything was working against me today, everything. I'm talking about from the camera, I'm talking about from the laptop. I even was about to shift and get on the cell phone and go live from the cell phone, and none of that was working. But I look at it as I can't have a conversation or program called Time for Some Action, but yet I allow the complexities of this morning to not do anything. So I had to really look into myself and talk to myself to say, you know what? Hey, it's called Time for Some Action. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Take action and still execute. Now, forgive me for the time, but I'm still here with you, still creating, allowing the energy in the room to be conducted. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So thank you guys for being here. Those that are watching from the YouTube side, those who are watching from the Facebook Live side, and those who are listening from the podcast perspective. I definitely thank you guys. Thank you for being here. And I owe you another one, so I'll definitely be here tomorrow morning to close out 2021 while heading into 2022. And so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about what we're going to be communicating about today. So today we're going to be communicating about time for some action. Time for some action. So when you look at action, you have been looking at it from a same and or similar perspective. But let's look at it from the what you're going to do, from the what you're going to do side. Because a lot of time we talk about action, but it's really not an action that we're doing. We're really creating or conducting gestures. And because we're conducting gestures, there are a lot of things that is not really being done, or a lot of goals and a lot of visions that we have that has no follow through, because we never followed up with the initial mindset that we had from the beginning. So therefore, there is no action that happens. There are plenty of gestures that happen. So let's go into the definition. So the definition of action is the fact or process of doing something, typically to achieve an aim. Again, it's the fact or process of doing something, typically to achieve an aim. And because you typically looking to achieve an aim, there is a difference or a newness within your process of what you're doing to actually achieve that particular thing that you have been aiming at. So that's the first definition of action. And the second definition of action goes into what I was speaking about previously. The second definition of action is a gesture or a movement. How many gestures have you actually been doing or have been communicating about during your 2021? You've made these resolutions prior to 2021 taking place, but those resolutions that you have created were really gestures, because you never really had any movement that went along with it. It's just like someone gesturing you or beckoning you with a hand movement or a hand gesture. That doesn't really mean that you have to take action after the gesture has been committed to you or towards you. Because even after the hand gesture, there has to be a decision that is going to be made by you to actually take action based off of the gesture that was given to you, beckoning you by hand. So we're looking at that action. What are your internal actions? What are the things that you're taking? Or are you really just creating a gesture that it is not firm nor founded on the things that you are aiming for, that you want to complete? Because that's really going to put you in that thing. So now there are two definitions of action. is a behavior or conduct in line with the purpose? Is or are your behaviors in line with a purpose? Or are you really conducting yourself with alignment of your purpose, or conducting yourself in the alignment of what your visions, your goals are? Or are you just creating more gestures that has no foundation with what you actually want to physically do? So the very first thing when you're going into your action, the things that you're going to take, getting you into your 2022, by taking action now in your 2021, the very first thing that you're really going to have to do, you're going to have to reconcile with 2021. Either it happened or it didn't happen. You're going to have to reconcile with it to say, you know what? Yes, I made this resolution at the beginning of 2021. It didn't happen. You're going to have to reconcile with yourself, and don't beat yourself up because you felt that you started out real well. The gestures of you starting out, or the gestures of you creating your resolution, it sounds real good. I mean, I promise you, it sounds real well, but you didn't have any follow through with it. So you're going to have to reconcile with that in order for you to establish what the next step is going to be for you, and begin to let that thing go, because either it happened or it didn't happen. You're going to have to reconcile with that yourself. And after you have reconciled with your 2021, the next thing that you're going to have to take is to develop a actionable habit. Stop making these resolutions and begin to create habits that is going to make things better for you, because now you're creating habits that align with your goals. And when you create those habits that align with your goals, that's really where the work is going to get done, because you created a habit. You're not gesturing a resolution by what you feel or what you felt the solution is going to be to make it happen, but actually creating a actionable habit. What is an actionable habit? An actionable habit is something that you can actually accomplish because you are taking actions in getting those things done. And because you're taking actions and getting those things done, that's where you're going to understand, like, you know what? This is actually working out because I've created or I've developed an actionable habit. And once you do that, I guarantee you there will be a lot more things done. Not just in your life, but there will be a lot more things done within your sphere of influence, because people are going to begin to see, like, you know what? I see you. I like the things that you're doing. I like the things that you say. I like the things that's going on. So I got you. Let me see what I can do, in my own life, because you have been a great visual mentor. So I think I can do the same thing. I can get myself up. I can create my own actionable habits and develop these behaviors that's going to make it a whole lot better for you when you begin to take that step forward in a direction that's progressive. All right. So once you actually created that actionable habit, now you're going to have to establish a conduct for your goals. What are your standards? What are your foundational things? How do you establish a conduct for your goal? First of all, you have to understand what your goal is in the first place. And when you understand what that goal is, you're going to have to manage your actions towards your goals. Meaning, if you want to run, especially for those that are in the military, if you want to run faster in your 2-mile run, or you want to run faster in your 5 miles, you may have to run intervals. You may have to do sprints and walk and sprint and walk, whatever it is. That's when you manage your actions that lead you towards your goal. Why? Because you're understanding, I am establishing measurable objectives. I am establishing a conduct, something that I'm going to live by because my habits have been developed. So now I'm going to stick with my habits by creating a conduct in order for me to reach my ultimate goal. Manage your actions towards your goal. And once you do that, you're going to have to really, really, really understand they're going to be founded off the actionable principles. Those actionable principles are going to create fundamental behaviors that you can always wash, rinse, and repeat and begin to duplicate, not just in your life, but begin to duplicate in your processing of thought. And when you duplicate that thing in your process of thought, that is going to allow you to begin to take those steps and move forward and to make things that are going to happen for you because they are grounded and rooted in action, not in gestures. So after you have done that, you're going to have to understand that once you actually do that, you're going to develop an internal support system. Because those internal support systems is not something that you're going to be looking for from someone else, because those internal support systems are something that you're going to do internally for you. So like this morning, I went running this morning, but I started out walking first. Walked the first half a mile, and then I ran the rest of the way. Now, what happened with that? My phone died. So therefore, I didn't have any music like I normally would have. Now, how many of you out there actually like to work out with music? What happens when your phone dies? It's like, okay, it feels like it's a deflation. You feel like a balloon that's deflated. Like, okay, man, how am I going to continue this workout, or how am I going to continue this walk? But I had to understand that it's not the music that really now the music or the motivational speaking and videos that I listen to, yeah, that's a part of it, but it's really me that's doing it. So I have to internally look at my own internal support system and say, you know what, with or without the phone, you still have to finish this run. You still have to complete the task. So what happened was my goal of completing the run was grounded off of my values. So if I had a goal of completing a run in, let's just say, an hour or so, well, let me back up. By the time I complete my run, it's normally finishing up at 5:46. So if my goal is to complete this run by 5:46 a.m., I have to understand that that is my goal. So in order for me to accomplish that goal, I have to understand my values, and my values is going to get me to complete the run. Why? Because I value the goal that is set. So I need to complete this run by either 5:46, or I can even make it better by doing it at 5:45 or 5:44. But the integrity and the values that I have set for my goal, that's going to get me to the end point that is going to allow me to complete the task at hand, because I have a code of conduct that I have for myself. Because if I'm running in the morning, I'm completing the task. Just like this morning, everything wasn't working properly. The laptop, I had to reset the laptop like a couple of times. It overheated. So that's just my transparent moment. It overheated. So I'm going to turn my laptop off today at the end of it. But because I knew that I had a value of being consistent, because there's no way I'm going to have a platform that's called consistency is currency, and I'm not consistent with doing the morning show. So therefore, I had to be consistent with it in order for me to complete the task at hand. So those are developing your internal support system. I have goals, I have values, I have vision, I have purpose, I have morals, I have morale. So those internal support systems are going to have to support each other in order for you to complete the race. So that's what I have for you right now. It's time for some action. It's not time for you to quit. It's not time for you to give up. It's time for you to complete the race. It's time for you to make it happen. And yes, consistency is definitely currency. I see y'all tomorrow. Peace.